This is an Algebra 1 Regent question from the August 2016 Regent on the topic of linear functions on the subtopic of slope. Which function has a constant rate of change equal to -3? If you remember, rate of change is just slope. Slope and rate of change are the same thing. We want to know, is choice 1 the table, choice 2 the sets of coordinates, choice 3 the graph, or choice 4 the equation? Which one of these has a slope or rate of change equal to -3? So we're going to have to try out each of the answer choices and find their slope or find their rate of change. Let's start with choice 1. When we have a table or we have sets of coordinates, we could just choose two random points, any 2 points. Let's say we have 0 and +2, and we have 1 and 5, and we're going to do delta y over delta x to find the change in the y values over the change in the x values. Delta y, the change in the y values, is 2 minus 5. Delta x, the change in the x values, is 0 minus 1. 2 minus 5 is -3. 0 minus 1 is -1. Minus 3 over minus 1 is +3. The question wants to find which one of these choices has a rate of change equal to -3. Since the slope of this in this table is +3, not -3, choice 1 is not the answer. Let's move on to choice 2. Here we have sets of coordinates. We're going to solve it the same way we did for the table. We're going to choose just 2 points, and we're going to do delta y over delta x. We can choose the first 2 points, 1, 5, and 2, 2. And we want to find delta y, change in y values, over delta x, which is the change in x values. Delta y, the change in y values, 5 minus 2. Delta x, the change in x values, 1 minus 2. 5 minus 2 is 3. 1 minus 2 is -1. So the slope between the points 1, 5 and 2, 2 is -3. But before you circle choice 2 right away and move on to question number 16, you want to see, is there a constant rate of change? Is the rate of change -3 over the entire interval, over all of these points? So we have to try out the next 2 points also. We have to try out each of the points and make sure that between every set of 2 points, the rate of change is -3. So we're going to try out the next 2 points. We're going to try out 2, 2 and 3, -5. And again, we're going to do delta y over delta x, the change in the y values over the change in the x values. Delta y is 2 minus -5. Delta x is 2 minus 3. 2 minus -5 is +7. 2 minus 3 is -1. So it's 7 divided by -1 is -7. Since the rate of change between these two coordinates, 2, 2 and 3, -5, is not -3, it's -7, choice 2 can't be the answer to the question because we need a constant rate of change over the entire interval. Let's move on to choice 3. This one is a graph. So whenever we have a graph, we can just count boxes. We're going to choose 2 points. We'll choose one where it crosses the graph exactly, and we'll be able to decide easily. Let's choose that point and this point. We want to find delta y over delta x, the change in the y values over the change in the x values. And we're first going to find our change in x values and put it in the denominator. We're going to choose the point at the top, and we're going to move as many boxes as we can to the right until we're over the coordinate on the bottom. So we're going to move 1, 2 to the right, so our change in x values is 2. And then our change in y values, we're going to move down to the other coordinate, so it's down 1, 2, 3, 4. So our change in y values is -4 because we went down 4. -4 over +2 is -2. So the slope of this line is -2. And since the question wants us to find which of these functions has a rate of change equal to -3, choice 3 can't be the answer. And then we're going to check choice 4. You don't really have to check it at this point because you know it's probably going to be the answer because we already tried choices 1, 2, and 3. But let's try it anyways just in case. Whenever we have an equation, if we put it into y is equal to mx plus b form, slope-intercept form, the m value will always be our slope. So let's do that. We have 2y equal to negative 6x plus 10. When we put it into y equals mx plus b form, what we want to do is isolate the y, have the y on one side of the equation, and have everything else on the other side. So to get the y alone, we need to divide by 2. Since we're dividing the left side by 2, we're going to divide the right side by 2. 2y divided by 2 is y. And we can divide negative 6 over x divided by 2. We can break this up to negative 6x over 2 plus 10 over 2. And we can simplify this. Negative 6x over 2 is negative 3x. 10 over 2 is 5. So our slope is negative 3. Our slope is our m value. And since the slope of this line is negative 3, the whole line is the slope of the entire line is negative 3. Choice 4 is the answer to the question.